San Diego Electric Bike, and today I have Bill Madigan, a sales rep here at San Diego Electric Bike. You can find him at the La Jolla shop as well as the Solana Beach shop. How you doing today, Bill?
Great.
Thanks for having me.
Sure, no problem.
I have a few questions. We want to sort of get a profile about you and your experience with electric bikes.
Okay.
The first one we have is, how did you first learn about San Diego Electric Bike?
I was actually riding my Electra beach cruiser that I had just bought with a friend of mine, and we rode by the original location of San Diego Electric Bike in just south of Cardiff in Solana Beach, and I met the previous owner, Pat, who was very welcoming, very knowledgeable. He told me all about the new bikes and all the benefits of them, and I was very turned on by it. I just didn't buy one that day. I almost did, and it was probably 2 years later when I had the right desire to get one, because I had plantar fasciitis, which is a really bad problem with your feet. And it was like in my 5th month of that, and I was going crazy, and I said, I'm gonna go buy that bike. So I went and bought my first e-bike. It was an Elux Tahoe, the big fat tire bike. And I rode that bike 3,800 miles in the first year, just as therapy to get over my sitting around so much.
Sure.
And just fell in love with it, and then kind of a chain reaction. My buddies rode it a little bit, and they all bought bikes. So I ended up with 4 friends buying similar bikes to mine. My brother bought one. My wife bought one. And then every once in a while I'd go back to the shop, the new shop without Pat. Pat had moved on and retired. The shop had the same kind of welcoming, knowledgeable, and caring staff that it has today, which I think is one of the best things about the place. I don't need to work, I'm retired, and I like being around the guys and the people who work there. So yeah, that's how I ran into San Diego Electric Bike, and then COVID came along, and people like me were cooped up, like when I was cooped up with my plantar fasciitis, and they just wanted to get out of the house. And I remember one weekend selling 50 bikes between Thursday and Sunday.
50.
And that was just me.
Wow.
There were people lined up. It was insane. And I think our sales numbers then were off the charts, unbelievable. So yeah, it was fun. And because I love biking and I love the bike and the freedom it gives me, the opportunities to go farther distances, and it added a social element to my life too. My buddies and I go on rides probably every 2 weeks now. So it added a social element, a more active element, getting me outside, and I think everybody else has discovered the same thing about these bikes.
Yeah, definitely. Another question, what is your personal experience with e-bikes as far as how many you've owned and what you look for when you switch to a different one?
Right. The original bike was the Tahoe, which is a fat tire bike. It's pretty heavy. It's pushing 80 pounds. And I loved the ride of that one quite a lot because it's very stable. The big wheels, the big tires actually act like gyroscopes and keep you stable, even though it's a large bike. But I take it a lot of places. I put it on my bike rack, my Thule bike rack, and it's so heavy I was just getting tired of lifting it up. So I bought the same model but smaller version, Elux Malibu. And I had that one for about a year. And then Malibu came out with the Malibu GT, which is very fast, and I like to go fast. And so I ended up with that bike. I also always like the step-through models. They aren't male or female, they're just easier to get in and out of. And so I've had those, but then I had a change of mind when I started learning more and more about the center drive mid motors, like the Bosches and the Shimanos and Yamaha motors. They don't have a throttle, but they require a little more work on your end, and they feel more like an authentic bike, but with a lot of help. So I ended up getting a Beno Boost, which is an incredibly well-designed cargo bike. And my idea was to take my wife to the beach on it and just have one bike. But then she wanted her own bike, so I ended up selling that and getting her a bike, and now I have a bike. But they're now center drives. They go further, they're lighter, They don't have that throttle for that zippy kind of fun where you can just be lazy. But I really love it the way it is. It gives me a little more exercise and a little bit longer distance on my rides.
Yeah. So Bill, I noticed there's a lot of step-through bikes on the market, and you told me a story about why step-through bikes are good for surfing.
Yeah, so when a surfer buys a bike, male or female, they want the step-through version because when they get a surfboard rack mounted to the bike, it makes it difficult to get on and off the bike if you have that bar, that traditional bar, high bar on the bike. So a lot of companies, Pegasus, Igo, all of the companies are going towards this V shape, what we call a step-through. It's much more convenient for anybody. Older people, younger people, it's a little safer in that sense too, because if you need to jump off, you're not going to land on the bar. But it's just an easier way to pass through to get on the bike, and prevents issues of throwing your leg over the back and catching something and you both the bike and you fall over. It's just something that some people still think maybe it's a girl's bike, but it's not. It's been kind of unisexed out of that. It's basically just a step through. The engineers have figured out how to make a bike without that annoying bar in your way. So that's just a benefit of the modern technology.
What do you love about e-biking?
I'll be honest with you, the best thing to me is the socialization, because my buddies and I, whoever's available, will go riding. We'll go all the way from Del Mar to almost Pacific Beach, go have lunch, go back. It's healthy, you're outside. It gets you outside where you're living more healthy life, in my opinion. Also, it gets you some exercise too. The other element is, and I just love the feeling of wind on my skin, especially in the summer when it's a bit warm. It's just a great feeling, and I think we underrate some of the joys of riding a bike. Just that feeling like you're sliding along. And with an e-bike, you look at Torrey Pines. If your friend says, "Hey, we're going to go up Torrey Pines today," you don't go, "Oh no, I'm going to make an excuse because I don't want to go up that steep hill." With an e-bike, that's not a deterrent, and you can set the power where you want. That's that freedom, and your choice. You can go up that with less effort or go up with more effort, whatever you want that day. It's like getting on one of those bikes at the gym. You set the level of power, but it's a lot more fun than a gym because you're outside. It's more spontaneous kind of experience. It's not this closed up in a gym kind of idea, and that's what I really prefer about e-bikes. One of the things I notice when I send people out on bikes for their test ride is it's like 90% of the time they come back in the parking lot with a smile, or they're actually putting in an effort to not show the smile because they feel silly or something. And I think it is that rediscovering of that. And I remember even before I was a teenager, when I first got a bicycle, I was able to get away from home. I didn't have to have a license. I had a little bit more freedom, right? And that was just like the ultimate thing. And I still feel that today, and I do see it in people when they get on a bike. And a lot of them, I think, when they come to the shop initially, some people are kind of reluctant to get on the bike. They're afraid of it. They're afraid it's going to be too fast, it's going to be too heavy, or whatever. It's going to be so different that they have this anxiety about it. So I found ways to talk them into that and get them into just try it out. And then what happens is just this transformation, and it happens in one ride. And I've just had people come back with the biggest smile on their face, and to me, it's one of the joys of being a salesman, because I love it. When I see somebody get on, it's like the bike does the selling for me, and they get on and they just go, "Wow, I can't believe this thing," right? And the husband and the wife will ride, the same thing comes out. So then the other thing that's funny is often when they do have a husband and wife pair come in to buy two bikes, one of them will go off and do a test ride, and the one who's remaining will say, "Please get him to buy this bike. He needs to get out of the house." And then I'll get her on the bike and she heads off and he says the same words to me. So it's like there's a desire in both of them to get out and ride and do something new, and I think this actually affords them and gives them a tool to make that happen.
Yeah. Bill, What's the company culture and the sales attitude towards your customers when they walk in the door and want an e-bike?
Yeah, the bottom line is it's the culture that I think started with Pat, the original owner, and carries through with Corey and Josh and Alexis. And it's just they're welcoming, they're kind, and this is an old-fashioned word, gracious. They take care of you, and there is no pushiness about selling you a bike because the bikes do actually sell themselves. And one of the things I'm always have up in my mind is one, I want them to have the least amount of trouble. I want to listen to the customer to see what they're going to use the bike for and do all I can to make the perfect bike for them, to find the perfect bike for what they ask for. So it's really, it's customer centered, and we all try to keep it like uplifting, sometimes a little humorous, and we also keep in mind the safety of people. If they're too short, their legs aren't long enough or whatever, we try to find the bike that's going to maintain a safe kind of environment for them, a safe experience for them. And I know they appreciate that when they hear that, and I'll say, hey, maybe get a brighter bike, a brighter color, because I would like you to be seen by drivers. Those little comments come out, and also just the culture of the place is one of this welcoming, gracious, and I've seen them, I work there now, I see how they struggle and trouble over how to best solve some of the more complicated problems that people come in with. So they're genuinely interested in making the customer feel valued and that they're going to be taken care of.
Excellent. Well, Bill, besides fun, have you ever used your bike to run an errand or visit somebody?
Absolutely. One of the things I is part of one of my sales pitches is there's a bag that easily attaches to a rack on the back of a bike, and it has these panniers, or what they call saddlebags, that you can fold down if you want. I have gone to Vaughn's and filled it with 4 bags, count them, 4 bags of groceries, and the mistake I made is I bought one of those gigantic toilet paper packages, right?
Yeah. I
still figured out how to get it around some of the straps, and it was on the bike, and it's great because you don't have to worry about parking. It's easier to get out of a parking lot on a bike too. And then the other elements too, if I went down to, if I'm going out to lunch or something, or meeting a friend up in Encinitas, the traffic in the summertime is like horrendous. And I'm going by people faster than they are and getting exercise and not paying for gas. And so, the key there is you got this, again, more freedom. It gives you the sense of freedom of just zipping by cars, and but you can get a bike that has the capacity to do a lot of really practical things: shopping, going to the barber shop, going to the restaurant to meet your friend, that kind of thing. And again, it cuts out all the parking issues. And so if you like to go to the beach in the summer, that's almost impossible in San Diego unless you get up at 6 a.m. No problem with an e-bike. Just take it down there, get a good lock, and it basically opens up that element of freedom too.